Robert Miller, a wealthy man in his late 70s, sat alone in his gleaming silver Mercedes, his fingers drumming restlessly on the steering wheel. The air conditioner's soft hum battled the suffocating Kentucky heat, but it couldn't cool the frustration simmering in his chest. A retired titan of finance, Robert had built a life where everything bent to his will, until today. Stranded with a flat tire on a dusty road, far from his immaculate mansion on the edge of town, he felt the weight of his isolation. His attempts to summon roadside assistance had failed, the phone signal as dead as the stillness around him. With a heavy sigh, he leaned back, resigning himself to wait. Then, through the haze of heat rising from the asphalt, a figure emerged. A young boy, maybe 13 or 14, approached with purpose, his faded t-shirt clinging to his thin frame, worn sneakers kicking up dust. His eyes, sharp and kind, locked onto the car, and he gave Robert a nod that carried a quiet, unshakable confidence. "Got a flat, sir?" the boy asked, his voice steady, cutting through the stillness. Yes, I do," Robert replied, a flicker of relief tinged with unease stirring in his gut. "No signal out here to call for help." The boy's face broke into a warm, easy smile. "I got you," he said, dropping to one knee beside the tire, with a grace that belied his years. "My grandpa taught me how to change a tire last summer." "Got a spare?" Robert pointed to the trunk, watching as the boy retrieved the tools with practiced ease. Jaden worked with a quiet intensity, his hands moving with a rhythm that spoke of lessons learned under a watchful eye. Robert stood frozen, a strange humility washing over him, a feeling foreign to a man accustomed to control. He wanted to offer something, anything, to repay this unexpected kindness, but Jaden's focus never wavered. In minutes, the new tire was on, and Jaden stepped back, wiping his hands on his jeans, his smile radiating pride. "All done," he said softly. Robert fumbled for his wallet, pulling out a crisp stack of bills. "Please, take this. You've saved me today," he urged. But Jaden raised a hand, his eyes gentle yet firm. "Thank you, sir, but I'm good. Just glad I could help." Robert stood speechless, the money dangling uselessly in his hand, as Jaden turned and walked away, his silhouette shrinking against the golden horizon. Something stirred deep within Robert, a pang he couldn't name. That night, in the opulent silence of his mansion, Robert sat in his leather armchair, the ticking of a grandfather clock echoing like a heartbeat. A plate of untouched steak and asparagus sat on the side table, the richness of his life suddenly tasteless. The boy's smile haunted him, a beacon of something pure in a world Robert had long since stopped seeing. He sipped his scotch, but it couldn't drown the memory of Jaden's quiet dignity, a strength that no wealth could buy. Robert had spent decades in boardrooms, surrounded by dealmakers and opportunists. Every interaction had a price, a hidden agenda. But this boy, in his faded clothes and dusty sneakers, had given freely, asking for nothing. The thought gnawed at him, a mix of awe and shame. By morning, a restless need pulled him back to the road, his Mercedes retracing the path to find the boy who had shaken his world. He stopped at gas stations and diners, describing Jaden to anyone who'd listen. Most shook their heads, but at a small cafe, an older woman's eyes lit up. "Sounds like Jaden," she said, her voice warm as she wiped her hands on her apron. "Always helping folks around here. Lives with his mama in Cleveland." "Cleveland," Robert echoed, his heart quickening. "Thank you." The drive to Cleveland, nestled in the rolling foothills of the Appalachians, was a blur. Robert's mind raced with questions. Who was this boy? What kind of life shaped such selflessness? The town greeted him with quiet streets and modest homes, a world apart from his own. After asking around, he was directed to a small house on the edge of town, its sagging porch and weathered paint telling a story of resilience. Robert hesitated, his polished shoes out of place on the cracked walkway. He knocked, and a woman in her early 40s answered, her tired eyes kind but wary. "Can I help you?" she asked. Clearing his throat, Robert said, "Good morning. I'm sorry to bother you, but I met your son yesterday. Jaden, right? He fixed my tire." Her face softened, a proud smile breaking through. "That's my Jaden, always lending a hand." "I need to thank him properly," Robert said, his voice thick with emotion. "He wouldn't take anything yesterday." She nodded, inviting him inside. The house was humble, its worn furniture and family photos radiating warmth. Hand-drawn pictures, likely Jaden's from years past, hung on the walls, a stark contrast to Robert's sterile mansion. It felt like stepping into a home where love filled the cracks wealth couldn't touch. In the backyard, Jaden was patching a rickety fence, his focus unbroken until he saw Robert. "Hey, mister," he said, wiping his hands, surprise flickering in his eyes. "What are you doing here?" Robert's smile trembled. "I had to find you, Jaden. You helped me when I was stuck, and it meant more than you know." Jaden shrugged, his grin effortless. "No big deal." But it was a big deal to Robert, a moment that cracked open his guarded heart. Jaden leaned against the fence, his gaze steady, almost as if he were the one sizing Robert up. "Most folks don't help strangers without wanting something," Robert said, his voice catching. "You did." Jaden tilted his head, puzzled. "If I can help, why wouldn't I?" The simplicity of his words hit Robert like a wave, stirring memories of his own modest childhood, long buried under wealth. "You're a good kid," Robert said, his voice heavy with sincerity. "Your mom must be so proud." Jaden's grin widened, glancing toward the house. "She works hard. I just do what I can." Robert's eyes drifted to the patchy yard, the mismatched fence, the rusted swing set leaning like a tired sentinel. This family had so little, yet they carried a richness Robert had forgotten existed. "I want to do something for you," Robert said, his tone resolute. Jaden's expression turned cautious. "We're okay, mister." "It's not about need," Robert pressed, his voice softening. "It's about what's right. You gave me something yesterday, let me give back." Before Jaden could answer, his mother called from the porch. "Jaden, come wash up for lunch." Her eyes met Robert's. "Join us? It's simple, but you're welcome." Robert hesitated, unaccustomed to such warmth, but her sincerity pulled him in. The kitchen smelled of fresh bread and roasted vegetables, the small table set with care despite its mismatched chairs. Jaden joined them, his smile a constant light. Over lunch, Robert listened as Jaden shared dreams of becoming an engineer, his mother recounting stories of their tight-knit community. Each word wove a tapestry of connection Robert hadn't realized he craved. "You've raised an incredible son," Robert told her as they cleared the table, his voice thick with emotion. Her eyes shimmered. "He's a blessing. We've had hard times, but we hold on to what matters." Her words struck deep, and Robert knew he couldn't leave without acting on the gratitude swelling in his chest. That afternoon, as he drove back to his estate, a fire burned within him. This wasn't charity. It was a tribute to Jaden's selflessness, to a family that thrived against the odds. By morning, Robert was on the phone, rallying contractors and old colleagues. Within a week, trucks rolled into Cleveland, unloading supplies as Jaden and his mother watched, wide-eyed. "You didn't have to do this," she said, her voice trembling. "We've always made do." Robert's eyes met hers. earnest and unwavering. "You've done more than make do. You've shown me what strength looks like. Let me honor that." Jaden stood beside her, quieter than usual, his thoughtful gaze fixed on the workers. Robert knelt, meeting his eyes. "You taught me something, Jaden. Helping isn't about money. It's about showing up. I'm showing up for you." Over weeks, the house transformed. The sagging porch became sturdy, the roof solid, the old swing set replaced with one that gleamed in the sun. Inside, fresh paint and polished floors breathed new life, the kitchen now gleaming with modern appliances. Jaden tried to help, carrying planks with a grin, but Robert chuckled. "Your job is to be a kid for now." Still, Jaden's curiosity shone, his questions about tools and construction sparking joy in the crew. One worker, a burly man named Joe, took Jaden under his wing, showing him how to measure planks. Robert watched, his heart swelling with a pride he hadn't felt in years. For the first time, he was part of something bigger than himself, a purpose that outshone his wealth. As the project neared its end, the family stood on their new porch, marveling at their home's rebirth. "This isn't just a house," Jaden's mother said, tears in her eyes. "It's our sanctuary. How can we thank you?" Robert shook his head, his voice soft. "You already have. You reminded me what life's about. Family, connection, purpose. I'm the one who's grateful." The final day was a celebration, neighbors bringing bread, jam, and a potted plant, their smiles as warm as the sun. Jaden's laughter rang out as he showed friends the new swing set, the house now a beacon of hope. Robert stood on the porch, leaning on the new railing, his heart full. Jaden's mother handed him iced tea, her smile radiant. "You've given us more than a home," she said. "You've given us hope, and found some for yourself." Robert nodded, the truth settling deep. "I chased money and status for years, but this is what matters." As the sun set, Jaden joined them, his eyes bright with dreams. "Mr. Robert," he said, "I want to help people like you did for us." Robert placed a hand on his shoulder, his voice steady. "You already do, Jaden. Your kindness started this. Never lose that light." They sat together, the sky blazing gold and orange, a warmth of connection binding them. When Robert left, Jaden's grin and his mother's tearful smile lingered in his heart. This wasn't the end. It was a new beginning. In the weeks that followed, Jaden's passion for construction grew, Robert arranging for him to shadow the crew. Each visit to Cleveland felt like coming home, Robert no longer an outsider, but part of their story. In a small town with a big heart, one boy's kindness had rekindled an old man's soul, proving that true wealth lies in what you give.